Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Let's get after it.
Hi. Just be okay. You're gonna be okay. Hi. You're gonna be okay. Yeah, don't worry about that, dude. Look at that. Wait. Yeah. The plastic is gone, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. So, where's the gas?
Outside?
Okay, the gas is off right now. Hmm? No, don't open the window. Don't open. Don't open anything. Just stay over here.
All right, dude. Yeah, let's get out of here. We tried, bro. I'm sorry. We tried our best. Yeah, and when this tree falls, it's over. I'm sorry, bro. We gotta get out of here. Holy, dude, that tree.
The fires going on in the Pacific Palisades right now are absolutely crazy. I've never seen anything like it. The winds are spreading these fires like nothing I've ever seen before. Every video you see coming out of there looks like the sky's on fire in every direction you turn. I don't even know how people know what direction to run in for safety in some of these videos. And did y'all see that tree that was fixing to collapse on that house? This is going to displace so many people. This is absolutely horrible.
Everything about Squid Game was actually true. Well, you see, back in 1986, there was a government-funded internment camp in Busan called Brothers Home, which was supposed to be a safe haven for homeless people to go, but it turned into something so horrible. This place allegedly would receive funding based on the headcount at the camp. So, in a bid to increase their funding and make more profit, the private owners of this camp would start taking people at random off the street and shipping them off to this island, where the captives' only chance of survival were to play these deadly games designed by a mysterious host. In these games, they would play in familiar tracksuits, stay in an eerie, colorful complex, but unfortunately, the ones who lost during the games wouldn't make it. Till this day, the bunker where this horrible incident took place still exists, and I suppose you'll still enjoy watching the series on Netflix.
Alright, since yesterday's video, I've done a lot of digging and reading on this whole Brothers Home incident. I've come to the conclusion that people are making this Squid Games connection just to get some attention on their videos. There were literally hundreds of victims that were interviewed after this all took place, and I couldn't find anybody mentioning anything about weird games being played. They were just forcing them to do manual labor at the threat of death. Not that that's any better, and this is definitely an interesting topic to dive into if you haven't heard of it before, but I'm convinced that the Squid Games connection is just a lie that somebody made up.
¿Qué cosa es eso más rara, eh?
Y coge la raya en medio, ¿sí?
Que no hay raya ninguna para acá, compadre. No, estás viendo que sale como una raya negra, así, un resplandor negro así por arriba después de lo blanco.
Sí, mira, y hasta allá llega, mira.
¿Eh?
Se va a ir todo el cielo de
¿Qué
atrás.
será eso, eh? Tú sabes que están sucediendo cosas raras, eh. ¿Tú no viste lo que está pasando ahora después de la Antártida? Está raro eso, Andy. ¿Sí? ¿Tú viste eso? Eso ahora tú lo viste y no. Mira, mira.
That looked crazy. I'd like to know if we have any weather experts watching today who can actually give us a scientific explanation for what this might be. I've never seen anything quite like that before, though. I'm betting something shot through the sky right there. And with all the uptick in drones and orbs and stuff, I would say it's safe to assume that it's likely from some craft of some sort. Hey, don't forget to click like and subscribe if you haven't already, and check out my merch store at berry-stepp.com.
Somebody said, hey Matt, can you touch on air fryers? Are they a healthy option? This is crazy, okay? I went down this whole rabbit hole the other day on cooking because I was like, you know what? I want to know everything about cooking. And I want to know how these things work, if it's conduction, induction, convention, whatever, all the cooking things, whatever it may be. And my whole thing with the air fryers is if they use infrared, like a halogen bulb, that can be a great option. But all the other ones that are not using the halogen bulb, I just wouldn't touch any of these things. It's interesting because when you look at the old stovetops, they used to have infrared, they used to have halogen bulbs inside them, and they would heat up your food. Nowadays, these new stoves, they work on radiation, and they radiate your food, and they don't turn red, and they don't have that beautiful hue anymore, and then you're radiating your food the whole time. And when you get into your whole cooktops, best options you can have, always fire. Fire is number one. Next, you can move into gas. Gas is nice too as well, because just a little propane right there. And then third, I would say, is infrared with the halogen. So I would say no on the air fryer because they got non-stick stuff in there sometimes, all kinds of weird things. They repackage technology and sell it back to the people every X amount of years.
I thought this was interesting. It's something I never really thought about before, but these stoves do all use radiant heating elements now. Maybe that isn't the best thing to be cooking our food on. According to what I could find online, it's supposedly radiation that's not harmful to your DNA or human cells. But can we really trust that? They are trying to sell us a product after all.
Is Paul Walker still alive? Well, you see, prior to his passing there was a lot of conspiracy going around that our beloved Fast and Furious star was actually creating a documentary to expose what was actually going on in Hollywood. And it just so happened that right about the time that Paul Walker passed away, a certain director by the name of Tim Ballard came onto the scene. When you look at both faces side by side, you start to realize that it could actually be the same person. And while you can reconstruct a person's face, there are just some things that can't be erased. For example, birthmarks that both faces have in the exact same spots and the exact same mannerisms they both have. Is it also just a coincidence that Tim Ballard just so happened to be the director of the controversial movie called The Sound of Freedom? Or could it be that Paul, with his public figure, realized that he had to go into hiding in order to expose the true dark side of Hollywood? It is this reason that people are asking.
The first thing that makes me think this guy didn't think this theory through very well is that he incorrectly states that Tim Ballard directed Sound of Freedom. That was Alejandro Monteverde, not Tim Ballard. I think there are certainly suspicious circumstances around the death of Paul Walker. I think his death may have actually even been planned, but I don't think that he faked his death to go into hiding. If that were the case, he certainly wouldn't have re-entered the public eye with a new name and shown his face on every podcast that would have him on. Besides that, there are plenty photos of a young Tim Ballard online, and they look like Tim Ballard, but they don't look like Paul Walker. Unfortunately, I think someone spent less time actually coming up with this theory than they did putting the video together.
In school, we learn about wildfire. We learn about the Chicago Great Fire.
There was a lot of fanfare over Mrs. O'Leary's cow kicking over the lantern.
The legend is that Mrs. O'Leary's cow in a barn kicked over a lantern, and that caused the entire fire. And poor Mrs. O'Leary and her family had their lives ruined because of this.
I remember going to summer camp and we're sitting around the campfire and it's one dark night when we were all in bed. Bump, 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 oh, Miss O'Leary took a lantern to her shed, and when the cow kicked it over, she turned around and said, there'll be a hot time in the old town tonight. Fire, fire, fire. And we would yell fire louder and louder with each verse. And we do this like 10 times to where it was echoing back to us across the lake. And now when I think about it, it's like how many kids were singing this song about this stupid story. It's like an incantation and it's spellcasting. Where did this song come from? Well, lo and behold, as an architect with a keen interest in history, I come to find out only within the last few years that there were fires in every major city. And then I come to find out that it's not just wooden shanty town built out of matchsticks. We're looking at city after city.
New York, Boston, you come down to Florida, Jacksonville, Miami. Every major city at one point was burned to the ground. Ancient metropolises that were burned down as if they were made from wood. Very quickly. Now we can speculate as to what the source of that destruction was. From above, from below, arson, biblical destruction, you name it. Nonetheless, every major city in America, if not Europe and the entire world, saw a great devastation by a fire.
Pictures are strange. The sequence of events that are supposed to have taken place are strange. Just a lot of clues. So again, they're saying, okay, everything was built out of wood. It caught fire. So we came in and we built all of these beautiful structures to make sure they wouldn't burn down again.
You look at any major city, they suffered this same fate. In Jacksonville, we actually had a fire where there are first-hand accounts of people who were escaping the fire. They were sitting up on a hill watching Jacksonville burn. They said that things on their persons started spontaneously combusting. Things that were made of certain materials were combusting. This was happening back in the late 1800s. No suitable explanation. But they're in a covered carriage. What happens? Materials on their body are still spontaneously combusting out of nowhere. Now, how could that be the case if this is a local fire spreading to anything that it touches? These people were hundreds of yards away, and you can go look up your own city, the closest major city to you, and you'll find this same fate.
Seattle burned down, the downtown. 2 months later, Ellensburg, which was at that time a major city in central Washington territory, burned down. 2 months after that, Spokane, which was another major city on the eastern flank of the territory. And when I discovered that, I just went, hold on a second. Like, there's something else entirely going on.
And some are still in use, but the ones that are inconvenient to the narrative, they just want gone. And there's also probably a component of the energy grid in all of this as well. Keep what they can use. They keep what benefits them. And at some point they determine, okay, we don't need that anymore.
Part of the story of the fires is that the fire chief wasn't in town at the time. He was away on some conference. And so the command structure was broken. So the mayor at the time in Seattle was the one that was calling shots. And he was making decisions that they should go in and make what they call fire breaks between buildings, meaning actually bringing dynamite into buildings and blowing them up. And that's acknowledged. And that's acknowledged in Boston, the Boston fire, in city after city, what's called a tactic to contain fires. And then they often say, well, look back in retrospect, maybe it wasn't the best idea.
The story of these cities mysteriously burning down just keeps getting crazier and crazier. If this doesn't look like planned destruction, I don't know what does. The most fascinating part of that to me was that people were talking about things spontaneously combusting on their person or around them while they were a good distance from the fires that were raging on. It sounds like some form of free energy was being dispersed to create these fires. And it sounds like they were likely started in multiple places at the same time, and that's why it was so difficult for anyone to contain it. Kind of reminds me of the situation we had in Hawaii. Now, before we move on to the next clip, I just want to give you a heads up. It is 8 minutes long, but you will see about halfway through why I decided to add it. It is an incredible clip if this guy is telling the truth.
What up, y'all? I'm gonna be talking fast because I'm finna talk to y'all about something that I ain't really talked to people about, man, and I ain't gonna lie. Back then, it was mainly out of fear, man. And we used M-Space back then, so we didn't have the capability for y'all to verbally communicate and respond to me in real time, man. And I'm just finna tell y'all something, man, that explained a lot of my gifts, man. And I want y'all to understand how it came to be where I can, like, see in spirit, walk in spirit. It's always been a gift I had since I was a little kid. My grandma called me and my brother seers, you know what I'm saying? Both of us were September. Both of us would have dreams of stuff to come. I ain't gonna get into all that, but I'm gonna let y'all know what heightened it and what triggered it. In 2004, as y'all can see, I got out of the military. They gave us a bunch of shots, man. Y'all save this video and y'all make sure y'all spin it, save it, repeat it, research so y'all can help me figure out what exactly happened to me, okay? But anyway, they done a bunch of tests, man, because they were trying to combat anthrax, right? Nobody knew what anthrax really was. So they gave us these sticks, right? they stuck us with the jabs, and they were trying to combat anthrax, and everyone's lower half of their body stopped working. So they put us on bed rest for 24 hours. I was 13 Fox, Fort Sill, Oklahoma. You understand? Y'all, this is about to get a lot deeper, but I need to tell somebody, man, I'm getting old, bro. So I'm finna share what I know while I can. After being on bed rest for 24 hours, everybody's leg starts back working. Next day, I'm in the chow line. That's where we go to eat, you know, etc. We're getting our food, etc. I start vomiting, couldn't stop. Chest pains, couldn't stop. Cramps, couldn't stop. Mind foggy. Everything was going in and out. The sun, the light outside is going from night to day, man. I black out. Bam, I'm out. You know what I'm saying? I'm out like a light, y'all. I wake up in the hospital. I had been there for 70 days. The chaplain tells me they're gonna have to give me a medical honorable discharge because I had developed something called pericarditis and acute bronchitis. Y'all understand? This was from them giving us the anthrax injections, but that's not what I'm talking about. I need y'all to know what I remembered that happened to me that they don't know I remembered, but I just act like I had no memory because they asked me, do you have any memory, anything you want to talk to us about? And I told them no, because I felt like if I agreed and told them, yeah, I remembered something, it was going to end badly. You understand? So I told them, no, I didn't remember nothing. I just passed out and woke up there and didn't remember nothing. I just act like I didn't remember, y'all. So listen, record this immediately, y'all. Keep it. I don't know how this going to play out, but y'all just keep it. You understand? I have a vivid memory of what took place during those 70 days that I was blacked out, okay? They took us somewhere underground in Fort Sill, Oklahoma, all right? And they put bags over our head. And they asked all of us questions that none of us could possibly know. They would ask us stuff, what's going on in Iraq, what's going on here, what's going on, yada, yada, yada. There would be 30 of us. All of us that got those answers correct, they would move us into a group of 15. Then they would ask us questions like, what happened here? What happens here? What's about to happen here? All of us that got those answers correct, they put us in a smaller group of 15. Then they'd ask more questions. Eventually, we got down to a group of 3. When they put us in the group of 3, I took a chance, y'all, and I ran for it. I broke through, you know what I'm saying? Ran out the back way. And I saw we were at some facility hidden in Fort Sill, Oklahoma, okay? I am 13 Fox. They called us the eyes of death, or death from above. That's what my MOS was, you understand? But anyway, this is all me remembering what happened as a dream, but I remember this very vividly what took place, but I didn't tell them I remembered because I felt like something was going to happen if I said that I remembered. So y'all please take this video, save it, okay? With that being said, they were spraying something in our faces that was making us go in and out of consciousness, you understand? Every time I went out, I would see from a bird's eye view down at the world, and I could literally pinpoint psychically where I saw something happening at a certain time when this happened, okay? And this program, y'all, immediately look this up for me, y'all. I'm about to give y'all the name of it, of what they were calling it. This was called the Delphi program, okay? And from what I understand, the reason they called it the Delphi program is because it had something to do with Delphi oracles. Something to do with Delphi oracles. I know this sounds crazy, y'all, but I'm just telling y'all straight up what happened to me. I got the paperwork here. It was called the Delphi program, and they was doing this to brothers, you know what I'm saying? And the Delphi program was using people like me to try and psychically spy on things we would no way and no how know about. What I found out, y'all, after I got out was I had developed something called sleep apnea. You guys have this. It's when you guys fall asleep and you can't move because you feel like some type of entity is holding you down. Don't look at that as fear, y'all, because this is something which is the entry phase until the other realm, if I can explain it to y'all. This realm is the access panel to everything around us where we are now, okay? In this realm, you can see things and know things without actually physically being there, but you're there in energy form. This is why I tell people everything is good, bad. Don't look at it as good as bad, look at it as negative, positive, okay? Good is good, sin is negative, you understand? But anyway, listen, back to where I was at. I snuck out with my results also. Check this out. It says, service medical records show March 15, 2004, show that you were seen for complaints of vomiting, stomach cramps, and chest pain. You were diagnosed with acute bronchitis and pericarditis. A chest x-ray showed that you had cardiomegaly, and you were referred for further testing. The EKG was normal. The echocardiogram, however, revealed the left atrium was at the upper limits of normal, and the pulmonic valve showed traces of pulmonic regurgitation, and the right atrium was at the upper limits of normal. This was requested by the Physical Standards Board. Y'all hear me? So now I've been diagnosed with whatever type of heart infection they done gave me, right? After this, y'all, anytime I go to sleep, my heart stops. Sleep apnea now, okay? For like 3 seconds. When those 3 seconds happen, to me, it's like 3 or 4 days, y'all understand? 3 or 4 days, and I'm literally consciously roaming around in the spirit realm. And I can see things before they happen. I know this sounds crazy, and I know they probably gonna take this down because it's gonna violate some kind of weird community guideline about not being able to post dreams, right? But I'm just giving it to y'all because I ain't got to tell nobody this, because back then we had M-Space, and M-Space wasn't capable of getting this type of information out. Y'all, find out what the Delphi program was in Fort Sill, Oklahoma. They are still doing this program. They are searching for people with my type of ability, trying to use us for war purposes. Y'all understand? I can't even believe I'm putting this out there, man, but it's out there. Y'all got this. I'm gonna let y'all do it. You know what I'm doing? Y'all do research.
How do you go about verifying something like that? I have no idea, but that's a crazy thing to put out there with your name and face attached to it if you don't at least believe that you're telling the truth. If this guy was really in the military like he said he was, I have a feeling he's about to come up missing. It sounds like he just let the cat out of the bag. I was asked to comment on this, and that's how I came across the video, was by a viewer submitting it to me in the Discord. But I don't know what I could add to this guy's statement that would be of any value. I just felt like I had to share it. If this is true, there has to be a way to confirm some of this guy's details. Do we by chance have any viewers today who were stationed at Fort Sill? I honestly don't even know if the military language he's using is accurate.
James Irwin was the command pilot on Apollo 15. James, after his return from the moon, became a born-again Christian. At one point, he came to Nashville, Tennessee to give a lecture on Christianity, and at that time he met a local Nashville resident by the name of Lee Galvani. Well, Lee implored James Irwin to confess, to tell the truth. Well, evidently, he made some inroads into Jim Irwin's conscience, because in August of 1991, James Irwin called me at my home. And he said, I understand you've written a book called We Never Went to the Moon. Come to think of it, this phone could be tapped. He says, I want you to call me at my home on Friday. Well, when I called him on Friday, James Irwin was dead. He had died of a heart attack. On December 7th, 1975, I was invited to discuss my book at radio station KOME in San Jose, California. The moderator or talk show host was Victor Bach. About halfway through the broadcast, the engineer came into the control room and he said, "We're off the air." Subsequent investigation indicated that someone in a helicopter had dropped napalm on the KOME transmitter in the Gilroy Hills, causing $250,000 worth of damage and effectively cutting off the station from the air for 3 days. Well, police came to the station and offered us police protection because callers into the station said, "What happened to you? You had this fellow on about we never went to the moon, and suddenly your radio station goes off the air." So to me, this was the first real-life indication that there was somebody that didn't want me to tell this story. The reason they couldn't mention stars or take photographs of stars is that the astronomy buffs at Vanderbilt or Harvard or UCSC would have found the errors instantly.
I have absolutely no doubts about that. I've always believed that's why they left the stars out of the moon photos. They don't want us triangulating the position and comparing it to other photos and realizing that they're faking it. And there would be no better way to solve for that problem than to just lie and say that the stars weren't visible from the moon. I do find it interesting, though, that all these points were being made back in 1975, just 6 years after they faked it, and people are still buying that the footage they gave us was a legitimate lunar landing. I just don't believe it. But guys and gals, I'm going to go ahead and end the video right there. I hope you enjoyed these clips we watched together today. I'll be back tomorrow with another video. I hope you come back to join me. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already, and check out my merch store at berry-stepp.com. Don't forget to leave a photo of your merch over in the Discord to get your photo in a video. But with all that out of the way, I hope everyone's having a great, safe, fantastic rest of your day, and I will see you all tomorrow.